What inspires change? What motivates us? It's what's inside that moves us. What moves you? Get the Scion story at scion.com.
Governor Eddie Calvo has announced that the Department of Defense is now looking at placing the live firing range complex for Marines at the Northwest Field. At first, DoD had wanted this firing range at Pauget, but after a lawsuit was filed by the National Trust for Historic Preservation, the Guam Preservation Trust, and We Are Guahan, DoD went back to the drawing board, and they are now looking at putting the firing range complex on DoD land on Andersen Air Force Base on what is known as the Northwest Field. As for the cantonment, that will stay at the NICTAMS area as was previously planned.
I sat down with the Admiral and some of his staff, and they brought this forward to us. I think they've also made it known to members of the legislature.
The governor says these look like good ideas that take into account the concerns of Guam's community that the ancient village of Pauget would be impacted, that DoD would acquire more property, and that it would create more traffic as Marines would have to drive from their NICTAMS base on the west coast of the island to the firing range complex at Pauget on the east coast.
It's a little bit north of the NICTAMS area, and the firing range area would be around the area of near Northwest Field as well. So they're all fairly, well situated with one another. I think there's be about a mile difference between the cantonment area and base and the firing range. So they're all put together. It's easy for them logistically, and it puts less of a stress on the rest of the island community as well.
Military Realignment Chairman Senator Frank Uggan Jr. agrees that these locations seem like a better choice.
I think in this particular case, if you take a look at the options, considering some of the concerns that were raised previously during the scoping meetings regarding some of the potential other sites that were being considered, I think that in this case it would be most accommodating for the military presence because we already have NICTAMS being utilized as a military facility, and we have the adjacent property in Northwest Field as well as Andersen being utilized by the military community.
While the Northwest Field option does not utilize any GovGuam or private lands, according to documents produced during build-up scoping meetings, it does require the use of some non-DoD land. Specifically, it would require some land at the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Refuge up at Retidian. In fact, one of the graphs from the scoping meetings showed that the surface danger zone at the Northwest Field would extend onto the Retidian Wildlife Refuge. This property is owned and operated by U.S. Fish and Wildlife, who in turn allows for public access to the Retidian Refuge. According to PNC News Files, JIGPO Executive Director Joseph Ludovici confirmed during a press conference in November of 2012 that this could affect some public access to the area. Nevertheless, both Senator Uggan and Governor Calvo view this as a positive step forward in addressing the concerns of Guam's residents and a major step forward in planning for the military buildup.
This is a positive sign that there's progress being made, and I think the progress in that as you start identifying areas and you start identifying what infrastructures to be put in with regards to barracks, offices, housing, then the dollar figures become more certain. And we need to get those dollar figures in line, and then of course with that it makes the policymakers in Washington, it makes their jobs a lot easier as well.